Welcome to another edition of Tell Me Why. This is that great show where we go all over the region, the Midwest, let's call it, and we ask brilliant young people.
And are they ever?
Are they indeed? We ask them say, look, you want to get your questions answered. We have a battery of brilliant people as well who can answer your questions. You tell us what you want to know about. We'll bring in the right person. Questions will be answered, and then society will continue to move on down the fun path that it already has been.
That's right.
Sound good to you?
That sounds good to me.
And today we have Neely Myers of the Schroeder Family Explorium. That is a good result for applause. There's not very many people in this room right now, but every single one of them was represented.
Look, a standing ovation. I'm honored.
They're all standing.
That's true.
Well, Priscilla Mace's kind of leaning. Does that count as a standing
It counts.
ovation?
She's on her
feet. She's doing this now. So, all right. Anyway, we got some great questions from some great kids out there. You have been wonderful about answering these in previous versions of Tell Me Why. So are you ready for a whole slew of brand new questions?
I am ready.
All right, we're going to start the slew right now.
I am Macklin, and I wonder why things evolutionate.
Oh, we got question marks over both of our heads now, so we're thinking really hard to answer Macklin's question, how do things evolve? Because evolution is a big part of our story, correct?
It is a big part of our story as a planet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that is a really big and fantastic question, Macklin, and I am thrilled to be able to answer it for you. So before we get started, it's important to define evolution. We've got to distill it down to what that means. And evolution is simply the change in the heritable characteristics of biological populations over successive generations.
Okay.
That's all that means.
Can you give us an example?
Yes, I can give you an example. So when organisms with helpful traits, so I brought some trees here, okay? This is a tree, this is a birch tree, this is a pretend green tree. So when organisms with helpful traits, and in this case, this butterfly has the helpful trait of being green against a green tree.
Oh, yeah.
So when organisms with helpful traits, like camouflage in this case.
What happened to the butterfly? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, now I can't see it.
Now you can't see it. Versus a blue butterfly against this green tree, or on the birch tree. This butterfly,
I can't see that
with
butterfly.
this kind of camouflage versus this red butterfly. Now I'm going to ask you,
look, a butterfly.
Which of the butterflies do you think have a better chance of surviving against predators?
The ones that match the color that is behind them.
The ones that match the color of the trees behind them. That's exactly right. So in this case, the ones with better camouflage.
Correct.
Yes, so those have a better chance, I'm going to show you again, of surviving and passing their traits on. That could be like a branch.
But it's a butterfly.
But it's a butterfly, that's exactly right. They have a better chance of surviving and passing on their traits to future butterflies.
Okay, and that is a part of evolution.
That is a part of evolution. Other things, like the birds with a long beak when they're going for bugs inside a tree versus birds with a short beak.
Right.
That would be an example. Those have a better chance of surviving and passing on their traits. So in that case, it's a situation where food gathering is the helpful trait. But there are larger examples. So if two parents with brown eyes have children, their chances of their offspring having brown eyes is greater than green or blue eyes. So that's another example of evolution. There are lots of different kinds of evolution. So it's just the way that we pass our characteristics on to the future and the chance of those characteristics being passed on.
Okay,
that's
so
as simple as it is.
Can I ask a couple more questions along the same line? Let's go back to the birch tree and the butterfly that is colorized about the same way as the birch tree. What happens in the process of evolution that makes it possible for the colors of this butterfly to change. I mean, obviously this doesn't happen in one generation.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
That's an important thing to know about that's an important thing to know about evolution, and it's a great question. Evolution is slow. It takes generations for evolution to happen. It's an important thing to know, and it's about survival. It just takes time. So it's written in the DNA. Hopefully DNA is something that you have heard of. It's the genetic code that lives in all of us. And it's written in the DNA of this butterfly, it's written in the DNA of this butterfly. So as more episodes of the DNA of the butterfly that matches its surroundings.
It's more likely that they're going to be brown, and they would replicate their surroundings.
That's right. And the red characteristics will slowly fade out. Not immediately, slowly fade out
because
over time.
They will be eaten, or they will just, they'll be thrown out because they don't match.
That's right. If these two butterflies live in the same ecosystem, the chances of there being some red DNA in the brown butterfly, there's some of the red DNA, but it's over time that red DNA is going to fade out. So that's a great question. It does take time. It's slow.
And when you, in the butterflies example, when you say time, you're not talking about 5 to 10 years. You're talking about hundreds,
decades.
Thousands, decades.
I'm talking about decades. I'm talking about hundreds of years. In some cases, thousands of years.
Okay.
There's some evidence that humans have, I mean, we have parts in us, an appendix, for example, that may at some point in the life cycle of the human race have had a purpose.
It doesn't now.
It doesn't anymore.
Really?
So there is just a chance that over time, whatever way that we lived, we got rid of the need for our appendix.
And does that mean that that appendix in time as well might just go away and not be inside of us anymore?
I don't have a way to tell the future, but anything is possible.
I thought you did.
I
You're
don't
pretty
have
smart.
it. I do okay. I don't have a way to tell the future, but yes, there is a chance that over time we could lose that body part because it doesn't have a purpose anymore.
And maybe get something in there that's more purposeful.
Could be.
Like ways to know whether or not your friend is saying bad things about you.
Well, there is.
I'd like to have that.
There is some evidence that over time we might have larger eyes because of the ways that we look at computers now.
Really?
Versus the ways that we didn't used to. Again, I don't have a way to tell the future, and I certainly don't write genetic code in humans. But there's a lot of smart scientists out there that are doing some forecasting that have some ideas of the ways that 1,000 years from now that a human being could look. We won't be around to see it, but maybe they'll run across this video and they'll say, "See, she knew what she was talking about."
I won't be around to see it because I'm a lot older than she is. She may be still hanging in
In
there.
1,000 years, I won't be here in 1,000 years either.
I'm not so sure about that because you work at the Explorium and they are about the smartest people in the world.
I do have some smart people that
You do.
Yes,
and
that's
speaking
true.
of smart people, I think there's more of them out there who want to ask us questions.
I can't wait to answer them.
My name is Liam Tidball. I'm 12 years old, and I wonder about how sound waves were first discovered and studied.
Ooh, Liam, that's a very good question.
Great question.
I've always wondered about this. I've been in broadcasting over 50 years. Most of the work that I have done in my career has revolved around sound waves.
Yes.
But I'm not as smart as Liam because I've never asked what they are and how they got started.
Yeah.
So it's good to have the answer. What is it?
Good to have the answer. So they didn't really, they got started when time got started, right?
And ears evolved.
That's right. When when human beings got started, when time got started. So way, way back. If we go all the way back to the beginning of time, which is a long way.
It is.
But if we go back to some of the earliest thinkers, people like Leonardo da Vinci, people like even farther back than that, Aristotle and Socrates, they noticed things about the world, right? They didn't really have the ways to study them like we do in the future, but they did notice things about the world. And Leonardo da Vinci realized that sound just doesn't happen, right? It comes from somewhere. It happens when something wiggles back and forth really fast.
And are those,
Well, yes.
they're wiggly.
They are wiggly.
Okay.
And so he first talked about vibration. Before we get to sound waves, we gotta talk about vibration. So I brought some salt on top of this plastic. It's going to be hard to get on top of that, but if
Yeah.
we,
Oh,
for
look.
example, ooh, look at that.
Darren's got a really good shot. See how good that
yeah,
looks?
Look at that. So if we pretend my fingers are making sound waves, or even if I can get
Darren's
close
our
enough,
cameraman,
and I can
by
talk,
the way.
ooh, I can make that salt wiggle.
Just by making sound waves.
Just by making sound. Well, you,
See,
you
that's the
blew
way
on
I
it.
did, but
That's airwaves.
That was
That's a little bit different.
that was like a caveman sound.
Yeah, that was a caveman sound. But because those people were very smart and they noticed that, they said, hey, wait a minute. That is making that vibrate. Also, if I throw a rock in the water, it ripples. That seems like that's how sound is working.
Okay.
It ripples out
And
because
that's
as
when-
it gets farther and farther away, it's not quite so loud.
And that's when
Closer.
people put the two together.
That's when people put the two together.
Interesting.
Now, it was a little bit later than that, around the 1600s, that Galileo and Mersenne, who are some famous scientists, kind of started thinking about music. And this is my homemade guitar because I don't have a guitar. So if you get in real close on this, I'm going to show you how a guitar string works. If I pluck a guitar string,
beautiful.
can you see that?
Yeah.
You can see that vibration. And then,
I can hear it too.
yeah, you can hear that. And that is when Galileo and Mersenne kind of started thinking, hey, wait a minute, that's making sound. The string is moving in waves. Okay, we were right. Sound moves in waves, right? And so they were really able to get deep into the study of sound moving as waves. The harder I pluck it, the longer the sound waves are, the wider the sound waves are, the longer they go, the lighter I pluck it. They don't quite go so long, they get a little shallower.
And with the shallowness and how long they are, does that change the pitch of the sound waves? Like some of them are deep, like a bass, and some of them are
Oh my gosh, I can't do that. That's impressive. But yes, so there's a lot of things that affect it. The thickness of the string, how hard you pluck it.
Is the tightness of the strings?
Tightness of the string affects it, how far away from the sound you are. So they spent decades, centuries studying all of these things and how that sound moves. And after this, the study of sound waves started to progress rather rapidly, all the way up to the modern day.
Right.
Well, we call it modern, but when you were talking
Christian
about
Doppler,
when you were talking about sort of the way that you learned about sound and waves and how that
he was
works.
in meteorology school.
He was in meteorology, and there's a lot of things that we know about sound now because those scientists from a long, long time ago said, I need to know how that works. I need to know why when things wiggle, they make noise. That's a vibration. That vibration seems to travel the way that the waves travel when I throw a rock in the water. And there you have it. That's how we know how sound travels.
Now, the Christian Doppler part is he was the guy that noticed that a train whistle from far away sounds different than it does from up close. And you always hear about Doppler radar, and that is how scientists and meteorologists can determine how close wind that is moving is to a point of origin or how far away it is. And that way, that has really increased our ways of determining whether or not a storm is heading our way, heading away from us, wind or air is heading away. And it seems like when they came up with the concept of sound waves 100 billion years ago, it has continued to progress to the modern day. It makes me wonder what in the future wavelengths and sound waves are going to be discovered to have meaning for it.
Well,
You
absolutely.
never know.
And two, even in the radio days, the 1940s and 50s, in the height of the radio days, when we started to understand more about frequency and how AM radio waves, because of their frequency, can curve where FM radio waves can't, and so they can move around things and across oceans, where FM radio waves, because they're higher like this, where AM radio waves are like this, they can't do that same kind of travel. So it just takes those really smart people, really focused on things and studying things, people like Macklin out there who asked this question and said, I need to know more. I need to understand why.
And now he and Liam and all of our great question askers,
That's right.
they know more, and I'll bet we've even got more question askers out there. And I'm sure glad you're here to answer these questions because I sure as heck can't. I could have done the Doppler stuff, but the rest of it,
But leading us up there, right?
rest of
I got
it,
you there.
Neely's got us all over. So let's hear another brilliant question for our brilliant guest.
Yes.
My name is Morgan Harper and I'm 11 years old, and I wonder how, if you're talking to someone on the phone across the world, how what you're saying transfers to them.
Oh, Morgan, what a question. Morgan wants to know, here we are in the Midwest in the United States, in the middle of the United States, or maybe on the fringes if you're watching on the internet. Morgan wants to know, how can I pick up the phone? This is going to be our phone. For
That's right.
today.
We're pretending. These are phones.
Okay, these are phones. This is the way phones used to be when I was young. So if I'm talking to Neely on the phone, and it's further than however far this yarn is, how can Neely hear me? That was what Morgan's question was.
And that is a great question.
It
Morgan.
is.
We're excited to answer that for you. So when we talk, we get vibration, right?
Right, sound waves.
Sound waves, that's exactly right. Our voices come out as sound waves with vibration. So our sound waves, the phone catches our sound waves and breaks them up into tiny little bits of digital information.
Ones and zeros.
Ones and zeros, that's right. And they either travel through the air, depending on how far they're going, or through cables very deep under the bottom of the ocean, to the other side of the ocean. So Thailand, England, or wherever they're going.
About as far away as you can get.
That's
and
right.
still be on Earth.
That's right. And then there are digital communications that can capture them. So your phone on the other end, let's pretend you're in Thailand and I'm in
Okay.
the United States.
Highlight.
And that's right. And my voice is being, my airwaves,
Yes.
my sound waves are breaking up and they're going underneath the ocean through the wires. And they're being caught by your phone on the other end and reassembled. Yep.
Neely.
That's right. And if the wires are putting the information back together correctly, you can hear what I'm saying.
How is that possible? It's
Well-
got to chop them up into little ones and zeros.
That's right, because that's the power of the internet and that's the power of technology. Technology is a wonderful thing when it works correctly. There are times when you're talking to people across the ocean where your voice is getting chopped up and it's not getting put back together quite correctly. You get interference or you get your voice breaking in and out. But when it works correctly, you can understand me just like I'm standing in the room and talking to you,
Which you are.
which I am right
That's
now.
right. This is not AI.
But we have talked on the phone before. And
We
so
have talked
There
on
have
the
been times when we're not in the same room together.
And is it the same thing even when you're across town? Like we both work in the same town.
That's
If I
right.
pick the phone up, is it still cutting up all of my words into little bitty ones and zeros and sending them your
But
way?
through the air. in
But
this
through
case.
the
So that's
air
what
this-
cell towers are for. That's right. The
Okay.
digital information is traveling through the air.
That this guy's working.
That's right. From cell tower to cell tower. And coming
name's
back down-
Stuart.
Stuart,
I
this
happen
is
to know
Stuart.
that.
Hi, Stuart.
Stuart.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Stuart.
for making our messages get from one person to another. We appreciate it. So it's just a longer way of getting those messages across, transatlantic to another country or to another continent.
So it makes me wonder why can we just toss it out there? And even if I want to talk to Thailand, can it still be heard if you cut it up into little pieces? Or are we looking at, see what I'm saying? You're saying that when it goes to Thailand, it's probably staying on a wire.
Probably staying on
Right.
a wire because
Is
that's
that-
a long way for sound to travel through the air.
Got it. It can't
Yes.
get dissipated and it can, all of those little sounds.
A lot of
go
interference
on.
of ships and
I see.
planes and things between here and Thailand. So
Okay.
it probably is traveling through wires under the ocean.
Okay, so the further you away, the probability enhances that you are going to be going from one place to the other with wires. But just across town from KSN to the Explorium, or from the TV station to the Explorium, just use the air.
Unless,
It's free.
there's always an unless.
There's always
Unless you're on a satellite network.
Oh.
Because sound waves can bounce off of satellites in space.
Okay.
And so that way there wouldn't be any interference between ships and airplanes. You're going all the way to space and all the way back down.
So is it like this?
So it's like that.
So here's the
Exactly.
satellite. Here, pick up yours,
Yes.
Neely, and then this is mine.
That's right.
And so I say, hey, Neely, that's a really nice sweater you've got on.
Yes.
And first,
And I would say backward. I would say back to you. Thank you so much.
yes, and it would, when I would say nice sweater, it would go like this. Here's the satellite,
That's right.
beep, 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 and then it goes down there, and then that's where the sweater top
That
comes
is
from.
how we were able to talk to the astronauts on Artemis.
That's
It's
so
because
cool.
Our sound waves traveled up to the Orion module.
And it sounds like we've got this whole thing covered. We can go just about anywhere with our voices.
That's right. And the farther technology goes, the more we're going to rely, or the less, excuse me, we're going to rely on those transatlantic wires, and the more we're going to rely on that satellite. There are a lot of satellites out there in space.
Right.
If you're in dark skies country and you look up, you can see them at nighttime. The more we're going to rely on that as technology.
And that's probably good, I would think, because it takes a lot of work to bury those lines
It does.
under an ocean,
It does.
because oceans are impossibly deep.
Possibly deep, and if they get damaged.
And if they get damaged, are they repairable? I mean, I guess they are, but it's
But it would be
really
way-
hard, right?
Really inexpensive.
Okay,
So as time goes on, more and more of our conversations are being had through satellite.
yet another fantastic question.
Thank you,
answered
Morgan.
By Neely Myers. So we've got at least time for one more. What do we got?
Hi, my name is Dayton, and I'm 9 years. I'm 9 years old, and my question is, why is everything made of atoms?
Ooh, we're getting down to the atomic level.
We
with
sure are.
Dayton. So let's talk about atoms.
That's right, and we're talking, I brought some of my favorite things
Uh-huh.
to explain why everything in the world is made up of atoms. So
Okay.
I'm going to explain this. Again, this is one of my favorite things in the world. I'm going to explain how atoms work with Lego, okay?
Lego. Perfect toy.
The perfect toy. Lego is one of my favorite toys in the whole wide world. So what I want you to think of is I want you to think of atoms like Lego, right? So atoms are the tiniest building blocks in the entire world. Like Lego are building blocks, right? These are not as tiny as atoms. Atoms you can't see with your naked eye.
How many atoms do you think is in this little tiny,
Millions, multi-millions,
just in this one little
just in that tiny little Lego.
Okay.
That's exactly right. You cannot see them with the naked eye. You need
Okay.
a very powerful microscope
Okay.
to see atoms.
I can see them. Let me count them. 1, 2. Oh, I lost
How
count.
much time do we have? You would lose count of the atoms in
Yes.
that. And of course, atoms are made up of protons, electrons, and neutrons, which are even smaller building blocks.
They're the building blocks of atoms.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So we're going to think about the. We're going to call this an atom, not a Lego.
Okay.
So these are the building bricks of the entire universe. Everything is made up of these atoms.
Okay.
But atoms don't like to be alone. They like to hook up with other atoms. So we're going to pretend like these are atoms, like I said, and they're hooking up with other atoms and they're making molecules. So as you know, something like water, for example, has, well, I'm going to have to do this right, has 2 hydrogen atoms and
Right.
an oxygen atom. So if we think about it that way, and
So
I
are the
put
blues
2
hydrogens and the
That's right.
grays and oxygen
That's right. And this isn't exactly the shape
of water?
of a water atom, but we're just, or of a water molecule, but we're just going to pretend.
It is
So
a little moist.
It is, well, is that the sweat on my hands? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know for sure.
Not gonna
but
say.
if we pretend like it's got 2 hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom, then I've just made water.
And that's just one little thing.
Just one little thing.
Okay.
So everything, like I said, everything in the world is made up of atoms. This geode is made up of atoms.
What is a geode? Tell me what a
This
geode
geode is a rock that's got crystals on the inside.
beautiful.
So when I busted this rock open, it had crystals on the inside. which
Where
is
did you find
beautiful.
this rock?
Well, I bought this rock because
Okay.
it was assured to have crystals on the inside. But you can find these out in nature.
In-
You can find geodes
In the
out
Midwest?
In the Midwest, all
really?
over the world. Yeah,
How do you know
absolutely.
it's a geode? Before you, I mean,
In my case, the store told me it was going to be a geode.
and
But
it was expensive enough.
That's
There was
right.
probably a geode.
usually they're going to be round-ish shaped
Uh-huh.
and kind of lighter feeling than they should be
Okay.
for the size of rock,
And
which
can you
means they're
thump
hollow.
them and it sounds hollow?
Well, that's a good question. I've never tried that.
Let's try it.
That's a good. Does that sound hollow?
A little bit.
Does it sound like crystals are inside of it?
Very
That's
much
because they
so.
are, yeah, exactly. Just feather. Similarly, also made up of atoms, completely different than that rock. And if you get enough of the building blocks, you'll end up with a beautiful flower made out of it, right? So it's just a way to think about how atoms make up everything. This table is made up of atoms. My skin is made up of atoms. They're just behaving differently,
Okay.
right? They're different formulations. They're put together differently. So another way to think about it, if this is a water molecule, let's pretend like this is a skin molecule. So they're just all put together differently. That gives them different properties. And all I mean by properties is the way they feel, the way they look, how soft or hard they are, how they behave with other things. For example, when I knock on this, it makes noise. When I knock on my skin, it doesn't. Those kinds of things.
Okay.
So that's a really easy way to think about atoms. And everything has to be made up of them because they are the building blocks of everything. It's just a circular way of answering the question, but it's true.
What about air?
Air is also made up of atoms.
Really?
Everything
is made up of atoms.
That's right.
All right. So that I'm gonna do what I do.
Do what you do.
I'm gonna take this one step further.
Okay.
All right. You got all of these.
Yes.
Let's take them apart.
Okay, take them apart.
I want to transport myself across the universe.
Oh my gosh. Okay, do it.
Huh? You want me to transport myself across the universe? How is there a way, or are they talking about a way to take all of whatever makes Neely Neely, take all of your Neely atoms, figure out what conflagration that they are, send that information across the universe, and then create a Neely on the other side of that universe?
Okay, so here's how I'm going to answer that question.
Okay.
When we're putting things together, that's called fusion.
Okay.
When we break things apart, it's called fission, nuclear fission, right?
Fission.
So we're breaking things apart.
Uh-huh.
We can break things apart.
Right.
That's the easy part.
See,
It's
I'll
the-
do it.
It's the putting them back together. There's something divine in the putting together.
Interesting.
There's something divine in the putting together of the atoms
Okay.
that we as mankind haven't figured out yet.
I think I've got it figured out.
Okay,
Let me
do
show
have it
you.
figured out.
Okay.
All right.
Nope.
Oh,
I
no,
don't-
you didn't
I
figure it
don't
out.
have that figured
So
out.
we can break the things apart very easily.
Uh-huh.
It's the putting them together on the other end. Now, I'm not saying that thousands of years from now in science that humankind might not figure that out. We haven't figured it out yet.
Are they working on it?
Somebody probably somewhere is working on
Even
it.
as we speak.
I'll bet you that nuclear scientists somewhere are figuring out how to put us back together when they break us apart. But right now, I suspect we would just be doomed. When you
Okay.
broke us apart, and that would be not a good thing.
No,
That would be
probably
not a
not.
good thing. So time travel, the kind of travel that you might see in a Star Trek movie or
Right.
something like that, not currently possible.
Not currently possible.
Not currently possible.
All right. I think that my brain is bigger.
I hope
Can you
so.
see it?
I can
you
see
see
that
that it's a
it's
little bit
bigger.
bigger than it was before we started?
Yes.
Hopefully yours are too. This has been another great edition of Tell Me Why with the wonderful folks from the Schrader Family Explorium,
Thank you.
including the boss herself, Neely Myers. Neely, we always love having you on this show.
I love to be
Hopefully
here.
you'll come back and make my brain even bigger. Is that possible?
I will do that.
I think it's quite possible, in
Yes.
fact. So keep thinking about those questions, and maybe our team will show up at your school someday, and you will get to be on Tell Me Why. That's it for this edition. See you later.